Hey, welcome back. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is Echoes of the Ancients. You know, living in New York, you get used to the constant movement of people. Crowds appear, shift, and vanish on a subway platform, in a park, on a busy sidewalk. It's a modern kind of disappearance, temporary and expected. But what about a disappearance that isn't temporary? What about an entire group of people, powerful, organized, documented people, just vanishing from the face of the earth? That's the kind of mystery that doesn't just linger, it haunts the pages of history. And today, we're going to explore one of the most enduring and tantalizing of them all, the complete and utter vanishing of Rome's Ninth Legion. Imagine this: the Roman Empire, at the height of its power in the early 2nd century AD. Its military machine is the most formidable force the world has ever seen, a meticulously organized engine of conquest and control. And within that machine, one of its most seasoned units is Legio IX Hispana, the Ninth Spanish Legion. These were not fresh recruits. This legion had been around for centuries, fighting for Julius Caesar in Gaul, standing against Boudicca's rebellion in Britain. They were battle-hardened, steeped in tradition, and numbered over 5,000 men. And then, sometime around the year 120 AD, they are gone. Not just defeated, not just disbanded, but erased. The legion simply stops appearing in the records. No chronicler mentions their destruction. No monument celebrates their final stand. They are there, and then they are not. So what happened to Rome's lost warriors? Let's set the scene. Our last solid sightings of the Ninth placed them in the northern wilds of the Roman province of Britannia around the year 108 AD. They were stationed at a fortress in York, a frontier outpost that was the very edge of the known world for the Romans. To the north lay Caledonia, modern Scotland, a land of fierce, unconquered tribes like the Picts, and of brutal, misty terrain. This was not a comfortable posting. It was cold, it was hostile, and it was a long, long way from home. The prevailing theory for over a century, popularized by novels and films, is that the Ninth marched north from York into the Scottish mists on a campaign to subdue the Caledonian tribes, and simply never marched back. Wiped out in a brilliant guerrilla ambush or a massive, desperate battle, their bones left to bleach in some forgotten glen. It's a romantic, tragic end, a whole legion sacrificed to the savage land. But history is rarely that neat, and modern archaeology has started to poke some serious holes in that story. You see, while the dramatic loss in battle is the story we love, the evidence is starting to suggest a different, slower, more bureaucratic kind of death. Some scholars now point to fragments of evidence, like a possible mention of the Ninth being in the Netherlands around 121 AD, after its supposed disappearance in Britain. This opens up a whole other possibility, that the legion was transferred, not annihilated. The Roman army was a fluid entity. Legions were moved around the empire to meet crises. Could the Ninth have been redeployed to the eastern frontiers to fight in the Jewish revolts, or to the Danube? Possibly. But if that's the case, why does it then disappear from all records? Even transferred legions left a paper trail. This leads us to the third, and in many ways most plausible, theory: death by 1,000 cuts. A legion was a living organism. It didn't need to be destroyed in one cataclysmic event to cease to exist. Think about it. The Ninth, stationed on that harsh northern frontier for decades, would have been constantly engaged in skirmishes, suffering steady casualties. Recruitment for a legion posted so far from the Mediterranean heartland would have been increasingly difficult. Their ranks would have been slowly thinned, not just by Pictish spears, but by disease, by desertion, by the simple attrition of a hard life. Eventually, the legion may have become so understrength, so combat ineffective, that it was no longer a viable fighting force. In such a scenario, the Roman high command, ever practical, might have made a quiet, administrative decision. The remaining soldiers could have been absorbed into other units, the legion's proud number and standards quietly retired. There would have been no great battle to record, just a slow fading away. A dissolution, not a destruction. For a society that so celebrated martial glory, the ignoble death of a legion by paperwork was perhaps not something worth memorializing. I find myself turning this over, as someone who works with systems and structures. I'm an engineer by trade, and I see the Ninth Legion not just as a band of warriors, but as a complex system. It had inputs, recruits, supplies, orders from Rome. It had outputs, military control, construction projects, taxation. And it existed in an environment, Britannia, that was inherently hostile to its function. Systems fail in two ways: catastrophically, when a single massive shock breaks them, or progressively, when sustained stress and dwindling resources degrade them until they can no longer sustain themselves. The mystery of the ninth is the question of which failure mode occurred. We're drawn to the catastrophic failure, the grand, fiery end. But often, in history as in life, it's the progressive failure that's more common, and in some ways, more chilling. It's the slow leak that sinks the ship, not the tidal wave. That's the real echo for me here. The disappearance of the Ninth Legion is a powerful reminder of the fragility of even the most solid-seeming institutions. Rome felt eternal. The legions were its unshakable pillars. And yet, one of those pillars just vanished. Was it a single, violent catastrophe? Or was it a gradual erosion, a series of small silences that eventually added up to one big, historical silence? We may never know for certain, and perhaps that's why this story endures. It holds a space for our imagination. In that blank space on the map, in that gap in the Roman records, we get to ponder all the possibilities of heroism, of disaster, of quiet endings, and of the sheer, unsettling fact that sometimes history itself loses the thread. Thank you for listening to this journey into the mist. If you enjoyed this episode of Echoes of the Ancients, please do share it with someone who loves a good mystery. It truly helps the podcast grow. This has been me, Ibnul J. Farabi, for Light Knot Studios. You can find more stories like this one at lightknotstudios.com. Until next time, keep listening for the echoes.